as my wife, Amanda, and I walked away from our youngest son's dorm room, where we had just finished helping him settle in, emotions ran high. Amanda was fighting back tears, as was our neighbor, Kathy, whose son was rooming with ours. "It's hard to believe our boys are all grown up," Kathy sighed, offering Amanda a tissue from her purse. Accepting the tissue, Amanda dabbed at her eyes. "Yes, it's quite a transition. They have so many decisions to make on their own now," she said softly. Meanwhile, my mind was preoccupied with a decision of my own. Doubts crept in as we headed towards the parking lot. Should I go through with it? I've been planning this for almost a decade. Is now the right time? Is it even necessary? Amanda reached out to hold my hand, but I avoided it by fishing out the car keys from my pocket, even though we were still a fair distance from the SUV. I noticed Kathy giving me a quizzical look. "It's okay, Mark," Amanda reassured me. "I understand how you feel." If only you really did, I thought, my mind drifting back to the moment that set all of this in motion. It was our 10th wedding anniversary, during an election year filled with politicians slinging mud at each other. I wondered if when these corrupt officials passed away, would they need a hole dug for burial, or could they simply screw themselves into the ground? That afternoon, I retrieved the mail, hoping to find the SD cards I had won on eBay among the usual bills and junk mail. But to my disappointment, I found another padded envelope inside the one I had been anticipating. "Damn," I muttered, opening the attached letter. "I hope this isn't a scam. It could ruin my day." Little did I know, it wasn't just my day that was about to be ruined, but many to come. The letter began with an admission of alcohol addiction and a newfound sobriety. The sender expressed a desire to make amends, including a plea for forgiveness and a promise not to contact Amanda again. Enclosed were items that held memories of the past, which the sender lacked the courage to destroy but feared the temptation to keep. "What on earth?" I exclaimed, examining the torn padded envelope and realizing it was addressed to my wife, Amanda. "Josh? Regret our actions?" "What actions?" The Josh I knew was a former neighbor who had moved away some time ago. He was what we affectionately termed a slinky, always falling down the stairs but bringing a smile to your face nonetheless. He was a decade older than Amanda and me, living in his parents' basement, claiming to run a photography business. I remembered hearing he was forced out after his parents passed away, failing to keep up with property taxes or something. My thoughts swirled in confusion as I absent-mindedly held onto the smaller manila envelope. Discarding the padded envelope and letter, I ripped open the manila envelope, and several 3x5 photos spilled out. The first one showed a younger Amanda in somewhat risque poses, dressed in familiar outfits, a clingy blouse and shorts. I turned over one photo and found no date. Entering my home office, I retrieved a framed picture from my desk, Amanda seated with our first son, taken when he was less than a year old. Amanda had given it to me as a Christmas gift. The attire and lighting in the framed picture matched those in the photos I had just received. Flipping it over, I saw the date, 9 years earlier. Sorting through the pictures, I watched in disbelief as Amanda's clothing diminished and my agitation grew. The progression led from suggestive poses to toplessness, then nudity. My heart sank as I reached the final sequence, Amanda engaged in explicit acts with another man. Some photos were clearly taken by him, capturing intimate moments with Amanda looking directly into the camera, while others seemed more clandestine, off-center, and less focused. Sinking into my desk chair, I felt dizzy, as if the blood had drained from my head. How long had Amanda been unfaithful? I wondered aloud. Glancing at the family photos on my desk, I searched for any more evidence of Josh's involvement. The images chronicled our family's journey, from our wedding day to our son's milestones. Apart from the first photo, all bore the logos of various mall photo shops. A chilling realization struck me: what if the boys weren't mine? I picked up the latest photo of my wife, Amanda, and our 2 boys in their baseball uniforms from the summer league. As I gazed at them, a swell of paternal pride filled me, but I forced myself to analyze them more critically. Both boys bore a strong resemblance to Amanda, but there were traces of my build and jawline in them. Leaning back in my chair, exhaustion washed over me. This wasn't helping. Then, a thought struck me, and I began rummaging through my desk drawers. I retrieved a copy of the medical form our sons had filled out for baseball season. Back in my day, it was a simple sheet for emergency contacts. Now, it was a lengthy document detailing allergies, insurance information, waivers, medications, and permissions. The treaty to end World War II could fit on one page, yet somehow, my kids' baseball paperwork was more extensive. It took some searching, but I found what I was looking for, their blood types, filled out by our physician. Retrieving my Red Cross blood donor card from my wallet, I confirmed my blood type, O. Amanda shared the same blood type, a convenient detail we often joked about. My oldest son's form also indicated he was type O, bringing me immense relief. Then, I checked my younger son's form. Bold black letters declared his blood type, a positive. Even without medical expertise, it was common knowledge that two type O parents couldn't have a child with type A blood. My world shattered once again, staring at those damning letters for what felt like an eternity. "You cheating bitch!" I roared into the empty house, pounding my fist on the desk. A whirlwind of thoughts consumed me. Should I leave Amanda? Or should I murder her first? No, leave her, then murder her? Perhaps just take the boys and leave? But what about their choice? Would they even have one? These mental acrobatics left me drained. Eventually, exhaustion overwhelmed me, and I dragged myself upstairs to collapse into bed. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, watching Amanda at the sink. After a restless night, I felt oddly calm, almost numb. Everything seemed the same, yet I now questioned every aspect of our life together. "Amanda, do you remember Josh?" I finally asked. Amanda's reaction was subtle, but I noticed her body tense before she responded. "Josh? Our old neighbor Josh? It's been ages since I heard that name," she said. "I was just thinking about Josh and his photography hobby. He was always snapping pictures of the neighborhood kids. Do you think he might have been up to something sinister?" I asked. Amanda chuckled, a hint of relief in her voice. "Trust me, Mark, Josh wasn't interested in kids." "And how do you know that, Amanda?" I pressed. She wiped her hands on a dishcloth before calling the boys for breakfast. "I've seen Josh many mornings, trying to discreetly escort some woman out of his basement without his parents noticing." "You seem to know Josh quite well, Amanda. Do you miss him?" I inquired. "Not really," Amanda replied. "We lucked out when Kathy moved in. Our kids are practically inseparable. Kathy, our neighbor, had taken over the house after Josh's foreclosure. Being a single mother, she relied on us to help with her kids, who were the same age as ours. We often joked about listing her kids as dependents on our tax returns. Since Kathy couldn't fix anything around the house, Amanda volunteered me as the handyman. While I wasn't exactly Bob Vila, I could handle basic repairs. My dad's motto was, if it can't be fixed with a hammer, it's an electrical problem. Helping out at Kathy's wasn't a bother. She was easy on the eyes, a real MILF, but I never made any advances. Dad taught us to be honorable, and I'd kept my vows. Amanda playfully slapped my shoulder. "Mark, are you really jealous of Josh after all these years?" "The guilty dog barks first, Amanda. Do I have reason to be jealous?" I shot back. Avoiding my gaze, Amanda stirred her coffee. "Of course not," she replied. "Josh was just a harmless drunk, always with his camera. He could have been a good photographer if he wasn't always drinking." I remained silent, letting her continue. Looking up briefly, Amanda continued, "Mark, come on. We were just starting out. You were juggling 2 jobs in school, and I was home with a baby all day. After hours of Barney and diapers, I craved adult conversation. Josh was just around." Still, I said nothing. Amanda's expression shifted to one of agitation. "Seriously, Mark? Do you honestly believe I was off having affairs with some middle-aged drunk while the baby napped? Give me a break." Setting down my coffee cup, I confronted her. "Amanda, you're getting defensive. Is there something you need to tell me?" Angrily, Amanda stood up from the table. Before either of us could say more, the boys burst into the kitchen with their usual noise. I silently excused myself from the table, feeling any hope of reconciliation slip away. The anger toward Amanda might fade, but the trust was irreparably damaged. "Mark, are you sure about this?" my brother Eric asked the next day in his office, reviewing the photos, letter, and documents I'd brought him. Eric was more than a brother, he was family. Our parents had taken him in after a tragedy when we were kids, and he'd been with us ever since. Mom and Dad had stretched their resources to care for him, living by the motto, slice the bread a little thinner, put some more water in the soup. Dad's philosophy was simple: actions speak louder than words. He taught us to help those in need, regardless of religion or background. When I asked him why he took Eric in, he'd said, "That's what a man does." Eric, with his blonde hair and Eastern European roots, stood in contrast to my darker complexion from our Italian heritage. People often raised eyebrows when we introduced each other as brothers, but to us, it was the only truth we knew. Eric had worked tirelessly to become a successful lawyer, but his career hit a snag when he discovered his fiancée cheating with a senior partner at his firm. It shattered his world, but he'd rebuilt from the ruins. Now, as he looked over the evidence I'd brought him, I knew Eric was the only one I could trust with this revelation. Eric stayed with the firm until the end of the year to secure his bonuses and benefits. Once he cashed out, he orchestrated an exodus of top lawyers and major clients, leaving his old firm crippled before its eventual collapse. Now running his own practice handling contracts, wills, and other legal matters, Eric also took on lucrative roles as outside counsel for high-profile trials. Married with 2 kids, our bond remained strong. As Eric sorted through my documents, he urged me to take time to process the situation. I couldn't resist a jab, remarking on how admirably he handled his own ordeal at his former firm. Eric chuckled, acknowledging the difficulty of the situation. He reminded me that most people struggle to see beyond themselves, focusing only on how they're treated without considering the impact of their actions on others. I couldn't help but tease him about sounding like Yoda. Fueled by anger and a desire for revenge, I declared my intent to ensure Amanda got what she deserved and everyone knew the truth. But Eric cautioned against letting revenge empower her, advocating for ignoring emotional offenders rather than giving them the satisfaction of knowing they've affected us. After a week, we found ourselves in a plush downtown office with Mr. Bigshot, who sifted through my extensive paperwork before delivering a surprising verdict: forget about it. I was taken aback by his unexpected advice. "Did you mean I should just accept what happened and move on?" As I struggled to comprehend his words, Mr. Bigshot clarified, urging me to let go of the desire for revenge and simply move forward. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but perhaps it was time to heed his counsel and focus on rebuilding rather than dwelling on past grievances. Mr. Bigshot reclined in his chair, delivering a sobering reality check. Unless you've got video evidence of Amanda turning your kids into Red Bull-fueled gladiators, you're facing a tough battle. Right now, you've got a decent life with a wife, a home, and 2 kids. But if you decide to go down this road, you might end up with a small apartment, dwindling finances, part-time custody of your kids, and Amanda with new male companions, all while you foot the bill. We're talking alimony, child support, and a significant chunk of your income and savings. His words left me reeling. But Amanda has a job. Why should I pay child support for a child who isn't even mine? Mr. Bigshot's expression was wry. "Mark, I'll take your case if you want to proceed, but let's talk facts and law. Whatever Amanda earns at her part-time salon gig pales in comparison to your income. Alimony is almost a certainty, it's just a matter of how much and for how long. And as for child support for a non-biological child, only a handful of states allow a man to cease payments under those circumstances. Unfortunately, we're not in one of those states. What if I find out Amanda knew the child wasn't mine all along? Isn't that fraud?" Leaning forward, Mr. Bigshot's tone grew somber. "I'll let you in on a harsh truth. While misrepresenting the child as yours could constitute fraud, it's a peculiar kind of fraud with no legal repercussions or requirement for restitution. Even if your wife publicly admitted the truth after years of child support payments, the law offers no recourse for reimbursement." He recounted a grim tale of a man in Florida paying child support for a child he didn't father, ordered by the court in the best interests of the child. Despite a DNA test proving his non-paternity, the legal battle offered no guarantee of reclaiming his funds. What about going after my wife's boyfriend for restitution? I interjected. Most states grant that right to the mother, with only a couple allowing the male to pursue restitution. But it's an uphill battle, requiring proof of deception and significant harm to the child's well-being and family life. Unfortunately, we're not in one of those states. As I slumped back in my chair, Mr. Bigshot posed a poignant question. Consider whether preserving your pride is worth sacrificing half your assets, spousal and child support. Money can't buy back your dignity or restore your reputation. Is it worth risking it all to find genuine appreciation elsewhere rather than endure a loveless charade? Eric suggested marriage counseling as a potential solution, but Mr. Bigshot dismissed it with a wave of his hand. Counseling rarely works. It often just alerts the spouse, giving them time to plan their exit. And statistics show that most women who cheat eventually leave the marriage. Unfortunately, our state's legal process heavily favors the mother in divorce cases. How old are you guys? Mid-30s, he inquired. Yeah, I responded quietly, feeling the weight of his words. Mark, I hate to be the bearer of more bad news, but the most common age for a wife to cheat is around 45. If your wife has already strayed once, there's a high likelihood she'll do it again as she approaches 40. The memory of the affair becomes idealized, and the desire to relive that thrill can lead to further infidelity, Mr. Bigshot explained. Eric voiced the question on my mind. Once a cheater, always a cheater? Mr. Bigshot shrugged. While nothing is absolute, infidelity is a significant contributor to divorce, second only to financial issues. I swear that won't happen to me, I asserted firmly. Mr. Bigshot responded philosophically, swearing is the compromise between running away and fighting. Frustrating, I muttered under my breath. Is it worth it to stay? Mr. Bigshot pondered. Extramarital affairs affect a majority of marriages, and with children involved, the stakes are even higher. Divorce can have serious consequences for children, leading to higher rates of substance abuse, depression, and other issues. There are no winners in divorce, especially the children. Suddenly, memories of my father's advice flooded my mind. Mark, he had said, being a father means putting your children first, no matter what. Your strength and sacrifice will define you as a true man. Feeling a surge of determination, I rose from my seat and extended my hand to Mr. Bigshot. Thank you for your insights, but I don't think I'll be needing your services. How much do I owe you for your time? Mr. Bigshot flashed a grin as he leaned forward to shake my hand. No need to worry about payment, Mark. This was just two old legal pals having a chat. He turned to my brother Eric. And I owe your brother big time for getting me out of that dead-end position at the old firm. I'm doing much better now, and I have him to thank for it. Remember, my door is always open to you guys. Anytime you need anything, just give me a call. I mean it. We rode back in Eric's car, and I couldn't resist asking him, Eric, why didn't you quit right away after catching your fiancée with your mentor? Why stick around at the firm for almost a year? Eric's jaw tightened before he answered. Well, my initial impulse was to quit on the spot. He smirked a little. Well, actually, my first impulse was to punch the old bastard after I dragged him off that woman. He adjusted the radio as he spoke. After I left him sprawled out on the floor with her, I went to my office and drafted my resignation letter. Why didn't you submit it then? I was furious, Mark. Then I started feeling sorry for myself. That's when I remembered Dad's advice about self-pity. In unison, we mimicked our father's voice, you can put your damn pity in one hand and piss in the other. Let me know which one gets full first. We shared a laugh before Eric continued. Anyway, I realized I shouldn't let their actions deprive me of the rewards of my hard work. The next day, the senior partner came to talk to me for the first time ever. He was concerned about the misunderstanding between me and my mentor. Sounds like a load of crap. It was, Mark. But I was a valuable asset, and he knew it. So I made him promise all sorts of things, and I made sure to get it all in writing. From then on, I refused to let anyone else control my happiness. I even kept that woman around for a while, just for some consolation. But the moment I found someone better, she was out. Same with the law firms. The day my contract was up, I was gone too. I took Eric's advice to heart. From then on, I prioritized my own happiness while keeping Dad's wisdom about putting the children first. Amanda became irrelevant to me. I made a point to minimize my interactions with her as much as possible. This became even easier a week after my meeting with Mr. Bigshot. Mark, I have some exciting news. Amanda announced at dinner. The salon wants to promote me to full-time manager. I'll be starting with evening and weekend shifts, but I'm sure you and the boys can manage your own dinners for a while. It was perfect. I was already gone to work before Amanda woke up, and she was at the salon by the time I returned home. By the time she closed shop, I was fast asleep. On her days off, I told her I was playing in a darts league. In reality, I decided to seek counseling sessions on my own. I realized that I wasn't more messed up than the average person. But more importantly, I discovered that besides my obligations to my kids, I was responsible for my own happiness. What Amanda had done, was doing, or might do, was beyond my control. We're all surrounded by temptations, and it's our own personal weaknesses and responsibilities when we give in to them. As I lost trust in Amanda, my feelings towards her changed. Eventually, I stopped caring about what she did. The intense hatred for her actions faded over time, but the negative feelings remained. I was in this for my kids, period. Amanda became more like a roommate with benefits. She was so preoccupied with her job that I doubt she even noticed. Meanwhile, the boys and I were having a blast. I took out a substantial home equity loan and made some upgrades to the house, including a swimming pool, an outdoor deck, and a basement turned into a true man cave. I traded in my boring car for a massive SUV with terrible gas mileage. With prime season tickets to every sporting event, I became the kids' team chauffeur, treating them to pizza or ice cream after every game. Kathy often joined us on our outings, and people often mistook us for one big family. I wish. I'd joke, earning a puzzled look from Kathy. Amanda frequently made excuses, citing her work schedule or exhaustion, so the boys eventually stopped asking her to join us. Years passed, and my oldest son and Kathy's eldest went off to the same college, with hers on a partial scholarship. Kathy never knew that I covered the rest of his expenses along with my own sons. 3 years later, the same scenario repeated with our youngest children. Which brings us to the present and my current dilemma: stay or go. Move on, or maintain the status quo. Amanda was on the outdoor deck, enjoying the last days of summer, a glass of wine in hand as she overlooked the pool. I returned after cleaning out the SUV from our trip. With her eyes closed, Amanda sighed, "Mark, the house feels so empty now with the boys gone. It's quite a change, but I'm ready for it." Having finally made up my mind, I thought to myself, "Oh, honey, you're about to get a change." I dropped the papers on the glass-top table between us. "Amanda, I don't think we should be together anymore. I want a divorce." Amanda sat up straight, grabbing the papers and scanning through them quickly. "What the hell is this, Mark?" "These are just copies of the divorce petition. Once you get a lawyer, my attorney will send the official documents to them. As you can see, I've been fair, and the savings are." "Are you out of your mind?" Amanda nearly screamed. "After 2 decades, you're leaving me now, after everything we've been through." She continued scanning through the papers. "No alimony? Where's the split of savings? What about the shared debt on the house? What are you trying to pull?" Trying to maintain my composure, I replied, "We both earn roughly the same salary and have similar amounts in our retirement accounts." That was partly true. I had deferred pay raises from recent promotions and kept my 401k contributions minimal after using it to pay for my son's college. Amanda looked stunned as she kept flipping through the petition. "We only make the same salary because I work twice as many hours as you. I'm not selling my house. I've put too much effort into it." "Amanda, we're underwater on the house after factoring in the home equity loan. Where do you think the money came from for this deck, your new kitchen, the... She threw the papers on the table. We're not getting a divorce, and that's final. Then, a realization seemed to strike her. You son of a bitch. Amanda spat, pointing her finger at me. You found someone else. After giving you the best years of my life, you want to ditch me for some young slut. Her face flushed with anger. How long have you been cheating on me, you pig? Please, I sighed. Let's not go there. It doesn't matter why, this is a no-fault state. Everything, both assets and debts, will be split equally. But Amanda wasn't appeased. Oh, you're wrong, mister. It does matter. I want to know, and I deserve to know. Who have you been screwing around with? Shaking my head, I replied softly, there's been infidelity, but please, let's not go there. It's best if we just keep this. My vision blurred momentarily as Amanda threw a glass of wine in my face. As I retreated to the kitchen, feeling the wine glass bounce off my back before shattering on the deck, Amanda followed closely, continuing her tirade as I washed my face in the sink. You son of a bitch. I won't be tossed away because you want to fool around with some bimbo. No wonder our sex life has gone downhill the last few years. Well, let me tell you something, buddy boy. I've had plenty of chances in the past, but I never. Amanda stopped abruptly as I turned, placing photos of her and Josh in compromising positions on the kitchen counter, one by one. Her face drained of color as she rushed to the sink and began to vomit. Shuffling the pictures into a pile, I sat down at the kitchen table. Well, Amanda, it seems you've taken advantage of opportunities in the past. Amanda eventually stopped vomiting and rinsed her mouth with tap water before splashing some on her face and drying it with a towel. Then, she slid into the seat across from me. Please, Mark, put those away, Amanda said, pushing the pile of pictures toward me with caution. I complied, placing the pictures into an envelope and tossing them into a drawer behind me. Amanda buried her head in her hands. Oh my God, I don't know what to say. I sighed wearily. Doesn't really matter, Amanda. I don't care. Amanda reached for my arm. Mark, please listen. It was only that one time. You have to trust me on this. No, Amanda, I don't have to trust you on this. And I don't, I replied, leaning back in the chair. I mean, what? You would never lie about cheating? Amanda tightened her grip on my arm. It was so long ago. I didn't know being a mother would be so tough. I was sleep-deprived with the baby, and you were always tired from working. I felt like I was losing my identity, just another mom or your wife. I pulled my arm away. I was working 2 jobs and going to school, all for us, our family. So I really don't want to hear about being tired. Mark, I know, Amanda pleaded. I wish I could take it all back. Josh was just a fun drunk. Sometimes, his mom would be around to watch the baby for a few minutes, giving me a chance to be with a grown-up for just a little bit, to keep my sanity. I tried to get up. Amanda, I really don't care. Ignoring my attempt to leave, Amanda continued. Josh always had a drink in his hand, and after a while, I would take a sip or two. He was always taking pictures of me with his high-speed shutter camera. I started to goof around, acting like it was some big modeling shoot. Josh kept encouraging it, telling me how great I looked, a natural, how the camera loved me. A tear formed in Amanda's eye as she looked at me. It just got out of hand. I would pull down my shirt to expose my shoulder or lift it up a bit to show off my belly button. Pretty soon, I was down to my bra. It was no big thing. People saw more at the beach. I noticed Amanda starting to cry. Then one day, when I mentioned getting you a picture for Christmas, Josh offered to do the photo for free. It went really well, and the picture turned out great. Our son fell asleep right after, on a couch in Josh's studio. You mean his parents' basement, Amanda? She wiped a tear from her eye. I figured he would sleep for a while, and I didn't want to wake him, so Josh and I had a drink. Well, one drink led to a bottle, and, well, in between my period and your crazy schedule, you and I hadn't had sex in a while. I was feeling really horny, and when Josh started taking pictures of me, my bad girl came out. He was making me feel so sexy. I felt so naughty flashing Josh, and he kept encouraging it, like we were doing a real photo shoot. I was stunned, feeling like I couldn't be more shocked after seeing the pictures initially, but I was wrong. So, you had sex with that goddamn drunk while our son was sleeping a few feet away? I stammered. Mark, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what came over me. I was such a... Amanda paused, unable to finish her sentence. Slut? Skank? Cum dump? Whore? I offered, feeling a surge of anger. Wait, scratch that. You sold yourself for a picture. That makes you a really cheap hooker. Amanda dropped her head on the table, sobbing. Mentally kicking myself, I realized I wouldn't treat a stranger this way, let alone someone I once had strong feelings for. Amanda, we can't change the past, we can only own our actions. Please sign the papers, we'll tell people we grew apart, no one outside our family has to know, I said, trying to sound composed. Amanda lifted her tear-streaked face from the table. It doesn't have to be like this, Mark. Please, it happened so long ago. It was just a minor event, a stupid mistake with no consequences. I pulled out another set of papers, placing them in front of Amanda. Amanda, all actions have consequences, some more than others. What is this? Amanda asked, looking at the charts and graphs on the pages. Amanda, those are DNA test results from our family, as well as blood types. You can see one of us doesn't match, I explained as she scanned the documents. Amanda grabbed her chest, gasping for air. I rushed to get a paper bag from the kitchen closet. Breathe into this, Amanda, I ordered, handing her the bag. You're hyperventilating. Just slow down, take natural breaths. After a minute, Amanda's breathing returned to normal, and she put the paper bag down as color returned to her face. Amanda, you knew all along, I stated firmly. She shook her head, twisting the paper bag in her hands. I suspected, but I just hoped that, well, I prayed, but I was never sure. Amanda, come on, I urged gently. You're a high school graduate, honors in biology if I recall. You must have thought I was quite the fool when I bought into the whole premature birth story, that load of crap you spouted. I shook my head. You can understand why it's hard for me to believe anything you say, knowing you not only cheated but had me raise another man's child. It wasn't like that, Mark. After Josh and I just felt so ashamed. I didn't want anyone to touch me, not even you. I swore I would become the best mother and wife ever. Then when I found out I was pregnant, I just panicked. I had nightmares that you'd throw me out, take away our son, make me have an abortion. Amanda, did I ever threaten you or force you to do anything you didn't want to during our time together? You know how family-centered I am, how I was raised, I said, rubbing my temples. If you had come to me, we could have worked it out. But instead, you chose to lie to me. It was just that one lie, Mark. No, Amanda, it wasn't just one lie. It was a lie every day, up until today. Every day you chose to live and tell a lie. I didn't have a choice, Amanda pleaded. You always had a choice, Amanda. At any time, you could have come to me. You chose to continue that lie, and I don't know how many others. Now it's my choice. Please, Mark, don't tell the boys. Amanda, the time for lying is over. Children who experience secrecy and lies can't trust what they're told, they become insecure and dependent. When the family framework collapses, there may be no honest relationships to fall back on. The children feel cast adrift, so either you tell them or I tell them. Oh my God, Amanda said. What will I say? Boys, your mother made a mistake, but they are still both our sons, and this changes nothing about the love we have for them. The boys took it surprisingly well. I guess with all their friends having step-parents, blended families, and different family structures, it wasn't a big deal to them. Amanda was bitter about the whole thing, insisting we could work it out and enjoy the house we had worked hard on. But I was just done with it all and wanted to move on. Ironically, the house became a bigger hassle than the divorce itself. Our megabank gave us the runaround when we tried to give it back. They killed short sales we had lined up, and we never seemed to talk to the same person twice. Depending on who you were talking to at the megabank, you got different answers to the same questions. Plus, the paperwork was unreal. I believe we personally deforested a greater part of Washington state's trees with just our written requests alone. Thank God my brother Eric tapped one of his buddies, who was a real legal eagle in real estate transactions and legislation, to help us. In a short few months, he proved the megabank not only violated their own internal policies, but also many state and federal laws passed to protect underwater homeowners. In a surprising turn of events, the megabank ended up owing us money. They failed to show up for the court hearing, despite 4 registered letters, leading to a default judgment that awarded us the house free and clear, along with court and attorney costs. The situation turned into a spectacle when our attorney arrived at a megabank branch with 2 armed sheriffs, a writ, and a moving company to seize assets like furniture and computer equipment after the bank ignored numerous notices to pay attorney fees. Local media covered the event extensively, and bystanders even pitched in to help remove bank fixtures as the stunned bank manager struggled to reach someone higher up. Our attorney and we became temporary celebrities when the David beats Goliath story made national headlines. However, this unexpected acquisition of the house complicated our divorce settlement. Amanda didn't want to sell the house anymore, so after much discussion, she agreed to pay me half of its rental value, as well as cover utilities. We agreed to split insurance and taxes evenly, with any future sale proceeds divided equally. Like any recently divorced middle-aged man, I rented a temporary apartment while I figured out my next steps. Naturally, I joined a gym to try and get back in shape, although I despised going there. As I stood at the reception area dreading my session with a personal trainer, I heard a familiar voice. "Mark, it's so good to see you." It was my old neighbor Kathy, looking fantastic in her gym attire. She explained that she worked part-time at the gym and would be my personal trainer for the evening. Despite my reluctance, Kathy dragged me through a series of intimidating exercise machines, none of which resembled those from my high school days. I struggled to keep up, pretending my trips to the bathroom were due to too much coffee at the office. By the end of the session, I felt exhausted and embarrassed. Kathy kindly agreed to meet me at a coffee shop afterward. As we stood in line, she appeared fresh and vibrant, while I felt drained and defeated. "Kathy, when did coffee get so complicated?" I remarked as she placed our order, which sounded more like a chemistry experiment. I remember when there were just 3 types: small, medium, and large. Kathy laughed, her familiar high-pitched tone bringing back memories. "Mark, just tell the barista what you like, and he'll whip something up for you." "Barista?" My goodness, I marveled. "All right, give me something a guy could drink at a football game without getting teased." Kathy playfully swatted my shoulder as we found a table. "Mark, I really miss you." "Haha, Kathy, you just miss having someone to handle those home repairs for free," I teased. Kathy blew on her coffee before responding. "Well, that too. I'm sorry about you and Amanda," she added. "Hard to believe she cheated on you." I nearly choked on my drink. "What? How did you know?" Kathy glanced at me before speaking. "No one told me. I've known you and Amanda for a long time. Just a gut feeling, you know?" I pondered her words. "So Amanda never confided in you?" Kathy shook her head. "No, Mark. But would it make a difference if she did? I mean, knowing the details?" I sighed. "It's not just about the cheating, though it is. It's about the lies and lack of trust. I have as much chance of trusting Amanda as a blind man with a microscope. Without trust, what's the point? The marriage is over." To lighten the mood, I recounted the saga of our house dispute and split, which had Kathy laughing along. Time flew by, but then Kathy glanced at her watch. "I hate to cut this short, Mark, but I need to catch the last bus." "No problem, Kathy. I'll give you a ride," I offered. "Thanks so much," she replied. "My car won't start. Bad starter, I think, and money's been tight with work cutting back on hours. I'll have to wait until payday to get it fixed." I checked my watch. Forget that, Kathy. Let's go to the auto parts store now. I'll cover the starter, and we'll fix it tonight. That would be amazing, Mark, Kathy said gratefully. I've been leaving home 3 hours early just to catch all the buses, and it's still a 30-minute walk to work from the nearest stop. But, I don't have the money right now. I waved off her concern. Forget about it, you need a car. We'll figure out repayment later when you're in a better position. Plus, all my tools are still in Amanda's garage. I haven't gotten around to moving them. Standing up, I offered her my arm. Come on, fair lady, the Prius hybrid chariot awaits. Kathy gave me a puzzled look. A Prius hybrid? What happened to your macho SUV? I grimaced. Got tired of constantly refueling. Felt like my carbon footprint was destroying the rainforest. People kept giving me looks, like I was an eco-terrorist. Kathy chuckled. Can't imagine you in a hybrid. Yeah, feels like my testosterone levels drop every time I get into that plastic jelly bean. You know, size matters for us guys. She laughed as I opened the car door for her. We looked out. The auto store had a starter for Kathy's car, and it was on sale. Amanda wasn't home, but I still had the garage code. 90 minutes and some grease later, Kathy's car was up and running. Kathy was thrilled, giving me a tight hug and a kiss. I didn't reciprocate, having a greasy tool in hand, but I certainly felt a reaction elsewhere. If Kathy noticed, she didn't say anything. Cleaning up, I noticed a leaky faucet and a slow drain. Pointing at the sink, I said, Kathy, why didn't you call me? I could have fixed this. Mark, I knew you and Amanda were dealing with bigger issues. I didn't want to bother you with trivial stuff. And with work cutting back, I couldn't afford. She turned away, tears in her eyes. I'm not a charity case. I put my arm around her. It's not charity, just neighbors helping each other out. I've got plenty of free time now, and it looks like you have some tasks to fill it. Let's make a list, like Kris Kringle checking it twice. Now, be a dear and grab me a pen and paper. Kathy wiped her eyes, smiling slightly. Okay, Santa. But if you're too nice, I might have to be naughty. For the next 2 weeks, I spent all my free time at Kathy's place. Her home needed small repairs, from fixing screen meshes to rusty hinges. Though I didn't get to see her naughty side, I enjoyed our time together. One night, after a few glasses of wine, Kathy talked about her first husband. He was a good man, Mark. Always helping others. He got killed when a drunk driver hit him. He wasn't even on duty. He had stopped on his way home from the gym to help a lady with a flat tire. The damn drunk never even slowed down. She took another sip of her drink. He was a fighter, though. He held on for 4 days. You know the last thing he told me? I stayed silent. Mark, the last words my husband said were not about himself, they were about his family. Tears streaked down her face now. He said, take care of our boys. Take care of our boys and take care of yourself. I moved around the table to hold her as she continued. I never thought it would be like this. Because he was off duty, we never got any of the survivor benefits. His small life insurance policy helped us get this house. Cops take care of their own, and his squad was always there to help. But I had to move. As wonderful as they were, it just kept reminding me of his death. I just never thought it would be this hard. I let Kathy cry herself out. There were no words that needed to be said. The next morning, I was under the bathroom sink fixing the drain. I felt someone tap my foot. Mark, where did you go last night? I heard Kathy say. Back to my crummy little apartment, I replied, pulling off the drain trap. You were pretty much out of it, so I put you to bed before I left. I stuck my hand out from under the sink and showed Kathy the drain trap. Damn girl. Look at all this hair. Have you been washing a mongoose in the sink? Why if I... Suddenly, the front door slammed open, and I heard footsteps, followed by a shrill voice. Where is he? What are you doing with my husband, you damn slut? Banging my forehead as I pulled my head out from under the sink, I saw Amanda's feet in the bathroom doorway. "You bitch!" Amanda screamed at Kathy. "Leave him alone." I jumped up, putting myself between a shocked Kathy and an enraged Amanda. "Amanda, what are you doing here?" I asked, trying to defuse the situation. Amanda redirected her focus from Kathy to me. "Damn it, Mark, I know what's going on. Every night, you're coming out of this woman's house, clothes all messed up, sweaty like some farmhand plowing the field. I know what you've been up to." Amanda paused, trying to calm herself. "I accept you're trying to get even with me. But you've had your fun with this woman. It's time for us to get back together." I was so shocked I could hardly speak. "Amanda, there's no getting back together. That ship has sailed. Besides, nothing has been going on with Kathy." Kathy's arms enveloped me from behind before she spoke. "That's right, Amanda. Nothing has been going on. But guess what? That's going to change right now. My late husband, God rest his soul, told me to take care of myself. And I intend to start right now by taking your ex-husband upstairs and showing him a good time." Now it was Amanda and I who stood there dumbstruck. Kathy moved from behind me and took Amanda's arm, leading her out the open front door. "Now please, don't be a stranger, but call first. We're going to be busy for a while." With that, Kathy closed the door on a still mute Amanda. Kathy walked back toward me as I finally found my voice to speak. "Kathy, that was something. Thanks for the backup and ego boost, but it wasn't necessary." Kathy stood directly in front of me and took off her shirt. She wasn't wearing a bra, and even for her age, Kathy's breasts were a sight to behold. I managed to tear my eyes away and look into Kathy's eyes, kicking myself for what I was about to say. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Kathy put her arms around my neck. "Mark, I've known you longer than I knew my husband. I loved him like I loved no other, and I fulfilled my promise to him to take care of our boys. Now I intend to fulfill my other promise to him and take care of myself." With that, she grabbed my hand and led me upstairs to the bedroom. I'm not sure who was more nervous. I didn't want to screw things up, and Kathy hadn't been with a man for almost 2 decades. But just like riding a bike, we kept our balance and found the right speed. The pillow talk got interesting when Kathy declared, "Mark, you need to move in with me." It was a declaration, not a question. Hold on, that's a bold statement. Aren't you afraid of this just being a rebound event? Kathy propped herself up on one arm, allowing me a view of those wonderful breasts. "Mark, we've been friends for most of our lives," she said, putting her hand up to stop me from speaking. "We're too old to play games. It's a win-win. You need a place to live, I have a place available. I care for you, you care for me. I have needs, and you do too. Why should you pay rent to some faceless landlord? If it makes you feel better, you can put what you would spend on rent toward the mortgage. Besides, you know this house better than anyone. Kathy, won't it be weird with?" I pointed across the street at my old house where Amanda lived. Kathy just shrugged. "Not my problem. I'm past caring what other people think, I only care what you think. Your old house is still in your name. That's a major investment, and what better way to look out after your investment than by seeing it every day?" And so we did. It was odd for a while. Amanda was still bitter about the whole event. She seemed unable to move on. "Damn it, Mark." Amanda's voice cut through the air as I worked on sealing a crack in the driveway of her house one day. "When are you coming back home? This is crazy, you know you belong with me. What can I do? You know I'm sorry for everything. Just tell me what needs to be done to make this go away." I capped the sealant before responding. "Amanda, I know you're sorry, and so am I. But we're not getting back together. You need to continue with your life. Find someone else." "Like who?" Amanda's frustration was evident. "I work in a salon with gay hairdressers. Most of my customers are first wives." She glanced down. "Never did I think I would be one of them." I remained silent as I packed up my tools. Come on, Mark. Amanda's plea continued. Surely you can give me another chance. Just forgive and forget, at least for our boy's sake. I mean, the holidays are coming up, we need to be together. Amanda, you're forgiven, and you had a chance every day for over a decade that you decided not to take. As far as forgetting, I shook my head. It's true the holidays are coming up. The boys will be coming home from school. We can have alternate dinners at both your and Kathy's home with all the kids like in the past. Amanda crossed her arms defiantly. I am not having that woman in my house. There is no way I am going to step foot in that place. I just shrugged. I guess we'll miss you. I thought the holidays might be awkward for the kids, given the new living arrangements between their parents and all. That fear was unfounded as both sets of kids took it in stride. I guess that's a good thing, but damn, doesn't anything faze their generation? The boys attended 2 dinners so as not to upset either mother. But by Christmas, the kids put enough pressure on Amanda to stop by Kathy's house for a short visit. Kathy asked her to stay, but to no avail. Kathy tells me she has nothing against Amanda and has no qualms about me spending time there doing house repairs or events with my boys and Amanda. I don't think they'll ever be friends as they once were, but Amanda seems to be warming up and is at least civil to Kathy as time has passed. After a year together, I couldn't be happier. It wasn't the white-hot love of our youth, but a much deeper, mature affection and respect. Still, I felt an obligation and asked Kathy about making it legal. Mark, Kathy said, holding my head with both hands, you're a great guy, and I want to spend the rest of our days together. But I promised myself I would only get married once in my life. I hope you can understand. Truth be told, I really couldn't. But I remembered another thing my father drilled into me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Write your opinion in the comments.